Welcome to the Iona Gas Plant. The Iona Gas Plant is owned and operated by Energy Australia. It is managed locally by the plant manager or the designated person in charge. Energy Australia supplies gas and electricity to over 3.3 million homes in Victoria, South Australia and New South Wales. They also generate electricity in these states. The Iona Gas Plant has the following capabilities: process gas from onshore gas wells located both at Iona and other sites. Process gas from the casino field, which is located offshore. Storage of gas in an underground reservoir. This allows customers to inject gas into storage when the market price is low or when the customer has surplus gas supply to manage. They are able to withdraw the gas during times of heavy demand or high prices. We can deliver gas into the Victorian gas transmission system via the South West Pipeline, which delivers gas to Melbourne. We can deliver gas into the Sea Gas Pipeline, which delivers gas to South Australia. We also have interconnections with local facilities and other gas end users. The Iona Gas Plant can process up to 500 terajoules of natural gas. This is about half of Victoria's peak requirements during winter and around 3/4 of the average requirements during summer. At the Iona Gas Plant, we treat health, safety, environmental and community management very seriously. The provision of a healthy and safe working environment to all of our employees, visitors and contractors is of critical importance. There are 4 types of induction: visitor induction, contractor induction, delivery driver induction, remote site induction. A person who has completed the visitor induction must be accompanied at all times whilst on site and cannot perform any work that requires a permit or requires tools. Upon completion of the contractor induction, personnel do not need to be accompanied while on site and can perform work that requires a permit. The delivery driver induction is specifically for couriers, etc., and for condensate truck drivers. Please pay full attention to this contractor induction, as we want your time at Iona to be safe and enjoyable. This induction will provide you with an outline of the safety requirements for you as a contractor. On completion of this induction, you'll be issued with an electronic swipe card that will allow you to enter and leave the site via the turnstile. This system also tracks where everyone is located, so that in the event of an emergency, all personnel on site can be accounted for. It is therefore important that you swipe your card every time you enter or leave site and at all other access points. You are also required to place your name on the personnel on-site board each time you enter site. This board is located next to the turnstile on the eastern side of the homestead. You must remove your name from the board each time you leave site. The swipe card is also required to gain access to other areas within the plant. When you swipe your card, the light should turn green and you will hear this beep. It indicates that you have been granted access. If the light remains red and you hear this, access has been denied. Please seek assistance from Iona Gas Plant personnel if you have any difficulty. The induction is dated and valid for 12 months. Once this time has elapsed, you will not be allowed to enter the site unless you have renewed your induction. All approved contractors are recorded in the approved contractor register. Anyone not registered on that list cannot be given access to the plant unaccompanied. Let's recap your arrival at the site. Each time you intend to gain access onto site, you must submit a site visit request form no later than 48 hours prior to your arrival. On arrival, you must park at the contractor car park. Make your way to reception and provide details of your site contact. You'll be issued with an access card. Any non-inducted persons accompanying you must be inducted at this time. Your site contact will meet you at reception and direct you onto the site via the POS board, where you must place your name. Why is it important to everyone that they correctly swipe their access card when entering and leaving the site? A. So that my hours worked can be calculated. B. So that all personnel can be accounted for in case of an emergency. C. It's not important since it is only used for access to site and I am leaving. D. It's not important since the information is never used. What forms do you need to complete before entering site? A. Have a site visitor request form signed and a valid induction. B. A purchase order. C. Nothing, I can just turn up when I like. D. Phone confirmation. There is no requirement for paperwork. This DVD will cover the following: our company policies, emergency procedures, emergency call stations, no smoking areas, ignition sources, drugs and alcohol, accessing the site, protecting the environment, personal protective equipment, vehicle access, permit to work system, personal locks and central control points, reporting an incident, dangerous goods and hazardous substances, housekeeping. Safety is our #1 priority for all personnel on this site. For Iona gas plant orientation and familiarisation purposes, please note these important locations: homestead, control room, warehouse, process area, compressor buildings, wellhead area, storage tanks, car parking, emergency assembly area. The Iona gas plant complies with all relevant health, safety and environmental policies, and it must comply with a major hazard facility licence issued by WorkSafe Victoria. It does this through compliance with a safety case and operations plan. This consists of a facility description, significant hazards and their controls, and the integrated management system, which are a set of management system standards and forms the basis for all of our procedures and work instructions. Compliance with the safety case and operations plan. Facility description. Significant hazards and their controls. The integrated management system. While working at this facility, it must always be assumed that every pipeline, vessel or tank could be at high pressure with either flammable or non-flammable gas or liquid. Chemicals dangerous to personal health or the environment are contained within piping, vessels or tanks. Every electrical cable could be live. Every instrument has a unique controlling or shutdown function. Plant equipment may be operating, may start automatically or be remotely started. To enable our plant to operate safely and for maintenance and construction to be carried out, procedures and work instructions have been developed. It is therefore important these procedures and work instructions are followed for your own safety, the safety of those around you, and the integrity of the plant. The safety case operations plan consists of what? A. A facility description. B. Significant hazards and their controls. C. The integrated management system. D. All of the above. What forms the basis for all of the procedures and work instructions? A. JSEAs. B. The integrated management system. C. Risk assessments. D. Permits. Smoking is not permitted anywhere within the plant. All potential ignition sources, including matches, lighters and electronic equipment such as mobile phones, iPads, radios, Walkman-type devices, electronic car keys, calculators, Blackberries, etc., must be turned off and handed into reception or left in your vehicle in the car park. If you are driving your vehicle on site, you must hand your phone into reception. Should you have any doubts on your equipment to be brought onto the site, please seek clarification from your site contact. Non-prescribed drugs or alcohol are prohibited at all times. Any persons under the influence or who are affected by drugs or alcohol is prohibited from entering the site. Personnel found in possession of non-prescribed drugs or alcohol will be instantly removed from site. If you are on prescribed medication that can affect your work, your site contact must be informed. Where is smoking permitted? A. In the control room. B. Outside areas only. C. Nowhere within the fence line boundary, including buildings and shelters. D. On site if you are in a vehicle. What should you do with mobile phones or other electronic devices that may be an ignition source? A. Turn them off and keep them in your pocket. B. Leave them at the main gate. C. Put it on silent. D. Switch them off and leave them in your car if left in the car park or at reception. Can I work on site if I am affected by drugs or alcohol? A. Yes. B. No. I am prohibited from entering the site. C. Yes, but I can only work in an office. D. Yes, as long as I am feeling all right. Because of the nature of our process plant, there could be an emergency situation that could endanger yourself and others working here. Adequate warning will be provided via our safety systems to enable personnel time to evacuate before any risk can escalate. When the emergency siren sounds, all contractors must switch off all electrically powered tools and equipment. Shut down any motor-powered equipment such as vehicles, welders or generators. Leave any vehicles, equipment and tools where they are. Isolate any pressure regulators on gas bottles. If you are driving, pull the vehicle to the side of the road and stop the vehicle. Leave keys in the ignition and proceed by foot to the primary emergency assembly area. If you're unable to reach the primary muster location, your site contact will direct you to the secondary muster location, as identified by signage and adjacent to the process area amenities block. All personnel should exit the process plant area by moving upwind toward the emergency assembly area, but do not cross the plant. There are a number of windsocks on the plant. Observe the wind direction when planning your escape route. Once at the assembled area, you are required to move your name to the mustered section of the POS board. Stay at the assembly area to allow a head count and await further instructions. All work permits are automatically suspended when an emergency occurs. Once the all clear is sounded, the site emergency controller will advise you of what to do. When it is safe to continue your work, you must go to the control room and have your work permit revalidated. You must not return to your work site until the all clear is sounded. What do you do if the alarm sounds? A. Run to the front gate. B. Stop work and stay where you are until the alarm stops. C. Stop work, make your workplace safe and proceed to the emergency assembly point at the turnstile adjacent to the homestead. D. Await instructions. What should you do if you're in a vehicle when the alarm sounds? A. Pull the vehicle to the side of the road. Stop the vehicle, turn off the ignition, leave the keys in the ignition and walk to the emergency assembly point. B. Drive to the emergency assembly point. C. Drive quickly out of the main gate. D. Drive the vehicle to the car park and walk to the assembly point. Where is the secondary emergency assembly point? A. On site outside the backup control room. B. Outside the compressor building. C. At the turnstile. D. The main gate. Do I need to revalidate my work permit if the emergency siren sounds? A. Yes. B. Yes, only if I'm working in the process area. C. Yes, only if I was required to leave the site during the emergency. D. No. There are a number of emergency call point stations located throughout the process area. These stations consist of 3 different alarms: the general alarm, the process shutdown, and the emergency shutdown. In the event of an incident or if you require immediate attention, the general alarm should be manually activated. Activation of the process shutdown or the emergency shutdown also triggers the general alarm and/or depressuring the plant. These alarms can also be activated from the control room. The operation of any safety shower, eye wash station or any fire hydrant will automatically trigger an alarm in the control room. Safety showers are for emergency use only. Firewater is not to be used for general washing down without the responsible officer's approval. If a safety shower, eye wash station or fire hydrant is operated, what will happen? A. The plant will shut down. B. An alarm will be triggered in the control room. C. Emergency services will automatically be called. D. Personnel will be required to muster. In the event of an incident or if you require immediate attention, which alarm should be activated? A. The general alarm, blue. B. The process shutdown alarm, orange. C. The emergency shutdown, red. D. All of the above. The Iona gas plant has implemented an environmental management system to achieve environmental management objectives. This consists of procedures, work instructions, inspections and audits which cover areas such as noise, water monitoring and discharge, spill prevention and response, prescribed waste management, air emissions, vegetation management, loss of containment. If you cause or observe an environmental incident, you must report it to the control room as soon as possible. Take steps to stop it immediately. Reduce its effect as much as possible. The Iona gas plant has the following environmental procedures and work instructions. A. Noise, water monitoring and discharge. B. Vegetation management and spill prevention and response. C. Air emissions, prescribed waste management, greenhouse gas reporting. D. All of the above. What should I do if I have a spill of hazardous or dangerous materials? A. Contact the HSC advisor. B. Wash the area clean. C. Keep working. D. Inform the control room, who will then follow the spill prevention procedure. How should I dispose of prescribed waste? A. Throw it into any bin. B. Follow prescribed waste disposal requirements. C. Leave it for disposal later. D. Dispose of it with the general waste. It is the responsibility of all persons on site to provide their own personal protective equipment. The minimum level of personal protective equipment required for all personnel working at this site are the following: a hard hat, long sleeves and trousers, a high visibility outer vest or coat, safety glasses with side shields, steel-capped safety shoes or boots. Additional safety equipment including hearing protection, hand protection, specialised eye protection such as goggles may be required depending on the job. This should be discussed with the site responsible officer. Hearing protection is required in the compressor building and other potentially high noise areas which are indicated by signage. Which is not part of the minimum standard of personal protective equipment required on site? A. Boots with steel toe. B. Glasses with side shield. C. Raincoat. D. Hard hat. Where is hearing protection required? A. Potentially high noise areas including the compressor buildings. B. Compressor buildings. C. Wellheads. D. Control room. If you need to bring your vehicle on site to transport equipment, you must obtain permission from the team leader or the designated person in charge. Matches, lighters, mobile phones, cameras, etc. must not be brought onto the site in vehicles. All vehicles are to be fitted with a flashing light and a reverse audible alarm. If you need to gain vehicle access to the process area, you will need to obtain a hot work permit at the control room. Cranes, forklifts and other mobile equipment will also require a dedicated spotter to ensure safe guidance through the site and must be fitted with a flashing light and reverse audible alarm. On arrival, use the gate phone to contact the control room who will open the gate. Once through the gate, vehicles must stop and observe the gate closure. Once confirmed, you may proceed. On departure from the site, the control room will open the gate. Once through, remember to stop and confirm that the gate has closed before leaving. A speed limit of 20 kilometers per hour is observed at all times anywhere on the site. Can you drive a vehicle into the process area? A. Yes, with a current driver's license. B. No. C. Yes, if a hot work permit is obtained. D. Only if accompanied by an operator. What is the speed limit on site? A. 20 kilometers per hour. B. 30 kilometers per hour. C. 40 kilometers per hour. D. Walking pace. The Iona Gas Plant Permit to Work system ensures that all hazards associated with a job have been identified and that suitable precautions and controls have been implemented prior to the commencement of any work activity. These include documentation including work permit procedures, work permits and forms, tags and locks, responsible officer, Energy Australia person who verifies scope of work, worksite is prepared and work is safe to commence. Permit holder, the person who receives the work permit. Work party, personnel who perform the work. A work permit is required for all work carried out by contractors on the Energy Australia sites, including the homestead. Such work includes painting, using hand or power tools, grinding or welding activities. To provide a safe access to the plant for the purposes of maintenance or construction, a two-stage process is used. The two stages are isolation through danger tag, lockout process, followed by work permit issue. Before starting any work, it is important that the full job scope is identified and suitable precautions are then implemented so that the job can be safely carried out. For simple jobs, this risk assessment process can be done informally, but for large, complex or new jobs, it may require a Job Safety and Environmental Analysis or JSEA. The key features of a JSEA are list the job or task. It is assigned a unique number. Details the members of the team preparing the JSEA. The checklist is marked. The job or task is broken down into separate steps. Potential hazards for each step are listed. List down the steps to mitigate the hazards. It is reviewed by contractor's supervisor. It is reviewed by operations personnel. All work team members check the contents of the JSEA and then sign on the back sheet. Contractors will normally be asked to participate in this task. Once hazards have been identified, they are reviewed and suitable precautions or controls are put in place to eliminate or minimise the hazards. Examples of precautions that could be put in place are safety observer, for example, personnel not working alone. Additional personal protective equipment requirements. Barriers, warning signs. Lighting requirements. Monitoring requirements for a safe atmosphere. Fire protection requirements including extinguishers or the fire hose run out and charged. Hazards and precautions are always detailed on the work permit, and you should understand what the hazards are and always comply with the precautions. People failing to adhere to the conditions of a permit are placing themselves and others at risk and may be asked to leave the site. It is the responsibility of the permit holder to provide sufficient and relevant information on the permit before any work commences. The permit holder is also responsible to ensure that they and their work crew understand and comply to all conditions of the permit once it has been signed. The permit holder retains the original copy of the issued permit. If you are the permit holder, then you must ensure that all work party members include their names and have them sign onto the permit via the sign-on form before they commence work. When they have completed the work or finished for the day, all work party members are to sign off the permit. You must also brief them as to the hazards, controls and precautions. You are responsible for these people. Work permits are arranged and issued by the site responsible officer in the permit office, which is adjacent to the control room. No work can be undertaken at the plant unless the appropriate work permit is completed and authorised. Some of the duties and responsibilities of the permit holder and work party include providing the responsible officer with sufficient and relevant information on the job to be carried out and participate in the JSEA or other risk assessment if one is required. Ensure that they and their work party understand and will comply with all the conditions of the work permit once it has been authorised. Ensure all work party members sign on to the work permit prior to the commencement of work. Ensure that all work party members working under the work permit apply and remove their personal lock at the correct central control point before they start work, at the end of each work day, whenever the person is moved to another work site, when the work is completed. Attend the work site at all times when the permit is active. For example, it is part of the work party or has been agreed to by the shift leader. Ensure the work site is clean and tidy at completion of the work. Ensure that all work party members sign off the work permit at the completion of work. They complete the work permit sign-off section at the completion of the work or before leaving the site. At the completion of your work or at the end of your shift, the permit must be returned to the responsible officer personally in the permit room, and sign off the permit before work is considered complete. What needs to be issued before any work can take place? A. Work instruction. B. A valid permit. C. Certificate of safety. D. Procedure. Why may a JSEA be performed before a permit is issued? A. To make sure we have all the tools and parts required. B. So that the responsible officer can meet all the work party. C. So that we know what work you are performing on site. D. So that potential hazards of the job are identified and that steps are identified to mitigate the hazards. What are some of the responsibilities of the permit holder? A. Provide sufficient and relevant information on the permit before work commences. B. Ensure that they and all members of the work party understand and comply to the conditions of the permit. C. Ensure all members of the work party sign on to and off the permit. D. All of the above. What must the permit holder do at the completion of work or the end of the day? A. Fill in his timesheets so that everyone gets paid. B. Returns the permit to the permit office, talks with the responsible officer and signs off the permit. C. Gets someone on the work party to return the permit to the permit office. D. Nothing. The permit is valid until he signs off, so that he could continue working with the same permit tomorrow. There are 5 types of permits issued at this plant: hot work, cold work, confined space entry, excavation work permit, and high voltage access permit. Hot work is any type of work activity involving a source of ignition or has potential to be an ignition source. It includes, but is not limited to, flame, oxyacetylene, cutting or heating, the use of gas burners, heating lamps, brazing or soldering, air, arc or flame gouging, grinding, disc wheel cutting, all forms of welding, wire buffing, the use of mobile equipment and internal combustion engines, either diesel or petrol, in certain areas, work on purged equipment or flame-proof enclosures, portable electrical or non-intrinsically safe equipment such as radios, torches, lighting, most electrical equipment, cameras with flashes, etc., stress relieving, impact type equipment, vehicles into the process area of the plant. Cold work is work that cannot possibly produce a source of ignition. This includes inspection, measuring, recording, etc., the use of non-sparking hand tools, painting and cleanup. Confined space entry is an enclosed or partially enclosed space which has limited or restricted means for entry and exit, is or intended to be at normal atmospheric pressure, contains or is likely to contain a harmful level of any contaminant, does not have a safe oxygen level or any stored substance except liquids that could cause engulfment. Excavation permits are required for any work that requires penetration of the ground exceeding 150 millimeters or any building wall penetration. What permit is required for work that cannot be a source of ignition? A. Cold work permit. B. Hot work permit. C. Confined space entry permit. D. Excavation work permit. What permit is required for work that is in an enclosed or partially enclosed space? A. Cold work permit. B. Hot work permit. C. Confined space entry permit. D. Excavation work permit. What permit is required for work that has the potential to cause a source of ignition? A. Cold work permit. B. Hot work permit. C. Confined space entry permit. D. Excavation work permit. What permit is required for any work that requires penetration of the earth greater than 150 millimeters or any building wall penetration? A. Cold work permit. B. Hot work permit. C. Confined space entry permit. D. Excavation work permit. One of the requirements for all hot work and confined space entry is the monitoring of the atmosphere. This is done with gas detectors. The appropriate selection of the gas detection device must account for the requirements. Therefore, it is very important that you discuss your job fully with the responsible officer. If you are performing work when a gas detector alarms, for any reason you must stop work immediately, turn off any ignition sources, leave the area and inform the control room. Do not return to the work or area until given approval from the responsible officer. While performing work, what would you do if the gas detector alarms for any reason? A. Stop work, turn off ignition sources, leave the area and inform the control room. B. Keep working and send someone off to get another gas detector. C. Ignore it. The gas detector is just a guide. D. Accept the alarm. Personal locks are used at the Iona gas plant to protect the individual from injury by prohibiting and/or preventing the use, movement or operation of equipment controlled by the device to which the isolation locks and danger tags are attached. Personal locks are most frequently used in conjunction with central control points, particularly for work within the process areas. Once an isolation is complete, locked and tagged out, and confirmed to be effective, the Central Control Point, or CCP, is placed on a safety accessible isolation point convenient to the worksite. The chosen point is then identified in the Group Isolation List as the CCP position. All work performed on site by contractors requiring isolation, locks, tags, performed under the Permit to Work system by contractors will have a central control point. Everyone in the work party must place their personal lock on the central control point before commencing work. The placement of a personal lock on the central control point in effect secures the whole of the equipment group isolation for the tasks specified in the work permit while the work party performs the work. Any isolation device that has a personal lock attached to it shall not be used, moved or operated under any circumstances. All contractors must have a personal lock to perform work at the Iona gas plant. This will be issued either by the Iona gas plant or your company. Individuals are responsible for the care of their personal lock. This shall indicate the person's name, contractor organisation, and to be signed by the lock owner. Personal locks only protect the owner of the lock. Any person accessing and/or working on any equipment shall apply their own personal lock to the central control point device necessary for personal protection. Personal locks shall be securely attached to the central control point. They shall not be clipped or tied to other locks. They shall be attached so that they are clearly visible to anyone. Personal locks shall only be removed by the personal lock owner when the individual has completed work on the equipment. Before the lock owner leaves the site, access to the equipment is no longer required. The importance in the correct use of and the regard for personal locks cannot be overstated. The safety of yourselves and of other individuals, and in many circumstances their lives, depends on the correct application of personal locks and full adherence to personal lock principles, procedures, rules and requirements. What is the central control point? A. Where you place your personal lock before commencing work. B. From where the Iona gas plant is controlled. C. Where you go if you hear the emergency alarm. D. Where you'll find the administration staff. What information must your personal lock have on it? A. Your name and signature. B. Your organisation. C. Either A or B. D. Both A and B. Who can apply or remove your personal lock? A. Your supervisor. B. The plant manager. C. Only you can. D. All of the above. When can you remove your personal lock? A. When you have completed work on the equipment. B. Before you leave site. C. Access to the equipment is no longer required. D. All of the above. Before we issue a work permit for any job, the responsible officer will have ensured that the equipment you are to work on has been safely isolated and decontaminated. Danger Do Not Operate tags are used to indicate the equipment is isolated, undergoing maintenance, or otherwise out of service. The location of isolations are always noted on your work permit when work is being undertaken. This is indicated by the group isolation number written in the appropriate box on the permit to work. Isolations of plant and equipment may only be carried out by Iona gas plant operations personnel. Danger Do Not Operate tags are applied to all isolation points. These include the following: valves, electrical isolation switches and circuit breakers, fuse holders where no isolation switch exists and fuses have been withdrawn, spectacle blinds and slip spades, any equipment that is unserviceable or dangerous to use. A Danger Do Not Operate tag will always display the person's name who applied the tag and/or the team leader, the date the tag was applied, the tag number where used on isolated equipment, the group isolation number where used on isolated equipment. Please discuss the isolation of the job with a responsible officer or shift leader when the permit is being issued. Who are the only people who can carry out isolations of plant or equipment? A. Contractors. B. Visitors. C. Iona gas plant operations personnel. D. Anyone over the age of 18. What are Danger Do Not Operate tags used for? A. To identify equipment that is faulty or mechanically or electrically isolated and must not be operated. B. To warn of danger. C. To signify where previous incidents have occurred. D. To alert visitors that the gas plant is dangerous. We use the SCAF tag system to identify a scaffold that is in service or still under construction. Each piece of scaffold considered fit for use is identified by a green tag in a white holder that is attached near the scaffold access ladders. This tag must be checked by each person who enters the scaffold, ensuring the loading design is not exceeded. If there is no tag, the scaffold is under construction and must not be used. The moving of handrails, kickboards, planks and ladders must only be carried out by qualified scaffolders. What must a scaffold have before it is considered fit for service? A. It is orange in colour. B. Has 3 ladders for access. C. A valid green tag in a white holder. D. All of the above. Safety signs have been placed around the plant to warn about possible hazards, the wearing of specific personal protective equipment, or the location of safety equipment. We have procedures in place that cover the reporting of incidents or near misses that occur on and off the site. It covers everyone at the plant, including contractors, staff and visitors. You must report an incident or near miss immediately where you are injured, whether or not you require treatment. You develop an illness caused by work or the environment associated with work. You are involved in or see an incident or an emergency situation that could cause or have the potential to cause harm to yourself or others, company property or the environment. You witness a near-miss incident or are involved in a hazardous or unsafe practice. You are ill after leaving the site and believe it has been caused by work. You need to notify your supervisor or shift leader or designated person in charge immediately. Should you have any type of injury, no matter how small, please notify the team leader or designated person in charge. All operations personnel are trained Level 2 first aiders. When must you report an incident or a near miss? A. Immediately. B. At the end of the day. C. Within 7 days. D. Within 28 days. Dangerous goods or hazardous substances must not be brought onto site unless given prior approval, and the goods have a valid material safety data sheet. This may include common goods such as cleaning chemicals. Always seek clarification if in doubt. All goods must be labelled correctly and stored in suitable containers. Can you bring dangerous or hazardous goods onto site? A. Yes, if they have a danger tag attached. B. No, not at all. C. If you have gained prior approval and have provided a current material safety data sheet. D. Yes, as long as it's covered by a permit. Any equipment brought onto the site must be in good working condition. The plant manager may have any equipment deemed not satisfactory removed from site. For example, excessive wear and tear, oil leakage, missing insulation from welding cables, etc. All portable electrical equipment must be tested and tagged for safe operation. Any equipment that does not have a current test tag attached will have a danger do not operate tag fitted and must be immediately removed from site. Portable electrical equipment must be A. Tested and tagged for safe operation. B. Approved by the permit authority. C. Brand new. D. Operated only by Energy Australia staff. Good housekeeping standards are extremely important. All rubbish, scrap, etc. is to be placed in bins provided. Walkways are to be kept clear at all times and free from rubbish, materials or equipment. These are your escape routes in an emergency, so they need to be clear. All materials and equipment are to be stored correctly. If you have to run cables, extension leads, hoses, etc., then make sure that they run overhead, well above the height of the tallest work team member. Run cables, extension leads and hoses underneath walkways. Don't create trip hazards. Housekeeping becomes more important when it's dark, so try and keep all work areas clean and tidy. Why should I keep walkways clear at all times? A. So that trip hazards are not created. B. They could be your escape route in an emergency. C. Either A or B. D. Both A and B. To summarise, let's briefly look at the procedures we have discussed. Each contractor must be inducted. No smoking anywhere on site. Lighters and matches are prohibited. Mobile phones, calculators, personal digital assistants are prohibited. No unprescribed drugs or alcohol are allowed on site. People under the influence, fatigued by or suspected to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol are prohibited from entering the site. A hard hat, safety shoes, safety glasses with side shields, long sleeves and trousers or overalls are to be worn. Some form of high visibility clothing must be worn. Safety glasses with side shields must be worn at all times when on site. Hearing protection is required in some areas. Only site offices, lunchrooms, toilets and the control room are exempt from these requirements. An audible emergency siren will alert you to any site emergency. Immediately stop all work and make the area safe. Switch off all equipment and go to the emergency assembly area and stay there until advised. All work permits are automatically cancelled and need to be reissued once the emergency is over. All work requires a work permit. Permits are issued by the responsible officer in the permit office. There are 5 types of permits issued at this plant: hot work, cold work, confined space entry, excavation work permit and high voltage access permit. Any vehicle entering the process plant past the no entry sign requires a hot work permit. Danger do not operate tags indicate isolations or out of service equipment. If you are the permit holder responsible for other contractors, you must fully brief them on all work permit conditions. Tidy up your worksite before leaving. Work permits must be returned to the responsible officer in the permit office upon completion of the job or at the end of the day's work. All contractors on site must have a personal lock. All work on site requiring isolation, locks, tags performed under the permit to work system by contractors will have a central control point. Each member of the work party must attach their personal lock to the central control point before commencing work. Personal locks can only be attached and removed by the lock owner. Personal locks must be removed prior to the person who placed the lock leaves the site. All incidents that involve injury to yourself, damage to equipment or spills must be reported immediately to the control room. Please note that should your radio communication fail on channel 1, switch to channel 3, as this provides radio to radio communication. Near misses must also be reported. First aid treatment can be obtained in the control room. We thank you for your cooperation. Should you have any concerns or do not understand sections of this induction, please contact the shift leader. We are an equal opportunity company. Anti-discrimination laws stop people being treated differently because of marital status, race, sex, disability, or sexual orientation. Public display of material which may cause offence, insult or harm is not allowed. At the Iona gas plant, we believe that safety, health and the environment is our top priority. Thank you for your attention.